That's right. I'm back.
I know you're going to dig this. Play the game.
Hi, welcome to episode 3 of Reflections of Rodney. I've been getting a lot of feedback again from the first 2 episodes, and people have basically been asking, what about you, Rodney? And the stuff you're putting in there is really awesome, but what about you? What is the magic, the method behind your madness? So for this episode of Reflections of Rodney, we're going to have 10 questions asked of me. Now, this isn't really fair because I'm the one who came up with the questions. But when I asked people, what do you want to know? All I got was silence. I mean, I didn't even hear crickets, cheep, 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 like the cricket thing, right? Not even that. All right. No. Just silence. Anyway, so 10 questions with me. The man, the myth, the legend. I tied this to my actual blog, Reflections of Rodney, where I actually write a bunch of essays and stuff like that, because I wanted this to be that. This isn't a series of movie review videos. This isn't a series of wacky, crazy shit that I'm going to do. This isn't a deep philosophical uh, exploration of anything, of any topic or whatever. I'm aiming for all of that. Any given point in time, that's what it's going to do. Basically, whatever I'm currently reflecting on. You know what I'm saying? That's where this particular thing is going. Well, no, yeah, that's a good question. Um, to answer that, I need to put this in the proper context. Okay, it is now 10:41 on a Friday night, and I'm sitting here doing this. Okay, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the context for this, Um, my age, I should be out partying, trying to hook up with girls and whatever, that kind of a thing. Instead, I'm here making this video. All right. And the worst part about this is, to my mind, this is fun. That's why I'm doing this. Okay. Because I couldn't get laid in a morgue. Okay. And this is fun. I like doing this. I like talking. And it'll be interesting in a few years to see how my attitudes have changed from watching these videos. Kind of, this would be like kind of a time capsule thing. So that's another aspect to it. But basically, because I have no social life, because I think this kind of thing is fun. All right. Well, for me, I don't really spend a lot of time disliking things. It's sort of waste of energy. If I don't like something, it just gets deleted from my universe. It just doesn't exist. I'm not gonna bother wasting energy disliking something. As for stuff that I like, well, that kind of stuff that I spend all my energy on, to be to be honest. Um, I like science fiction. I like fantasy. Um, and that comes in all shapes and sizes: books, movies, TV shows, comic books, that kind of stuff. I like technology, computers, programming, internet, web design, that kind of a thing. I like writing, creative writing, writing essays, prose, that kind of a thing. Tried poetry, doesn't work for me. Something about the speaking in images doesn't quite land with me, but writing straight up prose, like stories and essays, that kind of a thing, stuff that I like. I like singing, do karaoke whenever I can. I like women. Right? That's most definitely a like. I like being funny. I like goofiness, comedy, that kind of a thing. I like cartoons, Japanese anime, something else that I like. Not just U.S. cartoons. Batman, Superman, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, X-Men, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, stuff like that. All right, well, that's a good question. All right, I talked about movies a second ago. Yeah. So favorite movie of all time, without question, Back to the Future, the first one. Okay. Now, the whole series is awesome. I love the series, but my personal favorite is the first one. All right. The reason why it's a favorite, there's two pieces to that. Piece number one is what I mean by favorite. When I'm talking about favorites, I'm talking about something that no matter what mood you're in, happy, angry, sad, whatever, you'd be game for watching it. So if you just got dumped, you're sitting there and Back to the Future comes on, watching it. You just got a promotion, you're feeling riding high. You come home, you sit down, you want to do something to celebrate. Back to the Future comes on, hey, let's check that out. That kind of a thing. That's what a favorite is for me, right? And Back to the Future is like that. No matter what mood I'm in, if I happen to run across it on the TV, you know what? I'll watch it. You know what I'm saying? Now, watch the movies tons of times. Okay, I have the thing practically memorized at this point. I could quote lines like you would not believe off of this thing. I remember details that people wouldn't even pick up on in that movie. That's how many times I've seen this movie. This is so bad. Okay, I've owned the movie on VHS, on DVD, and on Blu-ray, and I bought it again on Blu-ray with the 25th anniversary edition. All right, so that's how much I love this movie. All right. I even went back. It was re-released in theaters for the point of view of the 25th anniversary. I even went back to watch it in theaters because I never had a chance to watch it when I was a kid, when it first came out in '85. So I went to watch it then. Okay. Reason why I love it is because the story is so complex. It's a really simple story, but there's a lot of complexity in it that you don't really get right away. Well, there's two parts to this question, all right, because for me, there's two types of movies that I would be doing. All right. Part one, one type of movie would be a remake of an old classic like Lady Hawk, with Rutger Hauer, Matthew Broderick, and Michelle Pfeiffer. It's the story is mythic, like a Greek story type mythic, and really awesome. But the technology wasn't there to tell it right. A lot of the shape shifting, a lot of the other things, a lot of these moments that were really emotionally powerful, but weren't conveyed properly because we just simply did not have the technology then. All right, so that would be one thing. On the other side of that would be stuff that does not exist yet for me. So it would be something like favorite book series like the Deathstalker Saga by Simon R. Green, or the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Like those series per se. Would be another qualification, another type of thing. It's a really hard question for me to decide. But I mean, if I really had to put my money down on it, gun to the head type thing, I think I would go with Dresden Files. For the same qualities that I like about Back to the Future. It seems like it's a simple story, but there's a lot of complexities thrown in there. The Dresden Files series is about 15 books, so there's tons of story there to go on. But I would put it together with the mind of it being a franchise similar to James Bond. So you would have like one person playing Dresden for 3 or 4 films and then swap it out for somebody else, and then eventually maybe swap out the ensemble characters as well. But yeah, put my money down on the table. If I really had to do it, I would probably do a Dresden Files movie. Unfortunately, the answer to that is yes. That's right. In high school, I was a band geek. This one time at band camp, no, none of that crazy shit happened at the band camps I went to. All right, I'm sorry. Basically, just learned how to march in formation. But yeah, no, I was in the marching band for 4 years. It's actually kind of interesting because the way that happened was when I was in grade school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the high school music director was basically going around to all the different grade school people and kind of encouraging them, like reaching out to say, are you going to Lawrence High? You're going to be doing music. Do you like playing music? That kind of a thing. When I got into the music classes at that level, at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I was actually given a choice of instrument that I wanted to learn. I was set to do trumpet. Totally awesome, right? Unfortunately, there weren't any trumpets left. And there was a mouthpiece. When I tried to use it to make it buzz, couldn't get it to do. My mouth was just way too big for it. So my options were either trombone or drum. And I had to gravitate towards the bass type of thing when it comes to music. Even before the whole techno thing, I always went for bass, like lower end music. Things that just sounded deeper, kind of like Motown music in the 50s and stuff like that, which I was already listening to, because I was basically raiding my mom's 45s collection, back when vinyl records still existed. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm that old. So yeah, so I chose trombone because of that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's actually a really interesting story. And I blame myself and the drugs my mom was on at the time. Yeah, seriously. All right. Supposedly, I was late coming out. My mom had a really long labor. That's the part where I blame myself. All right. Because I gave my mom time to actually do what happened while she was in the hospital. Now, back in the day, back in the 70s, once you got past a certain point, they would keep you in the hospital to watch over you until you actually gave birth. Nowadays, there's too many people giving birth, so the hospitals don't have that kind of staff power to hold that. So my mom was in the hospital for like about good 2-3 days with labor pains and stuff like that. I want you to picture this, all right? Because this is like basically December 26th. My mom's in the hospital waiting for me to give birth, to come out and everything. And she's hopped up on pain medications and drugs. This is where I blame the drugs, right? And she's watching TV. At the time, McDonald's was running an ad campaign with this little kid named Rodney. The current commercial that she was watching was one where Rodney was sitting there, right? Little kid sitting there next to a little girl, right? Little boy had his burger, munching on the burger, and he turns to the girl, offers her the burger, and says, "Want a bite?" She takes the burger, takes a bite. "Thanks, Rodney." Melted in my mom's heart. Bam. That's what happened. Then my name was Rodney. Initially, it was supposed to be Brian, but after that commercial, Rodney, all the way through. So I blame myself for being late. I should have came out on time. And I blame the drugs my mother was on for that. Well, the short answer is I can do that stuff because I was poor. All right. I was a little kid growing up in Manhattan, about a block and a half away from Harlem. All right. And my mom had this thing in her head that if she let me out into the streets, I'd become some like ruffian, some like thug running around doing shit. Basically like causing trouble and stuff like that. So she kept me in the house all the time. So I ended up watching TV a lot. Okay. I was basically a latchkey kid, would come home, unlock the door, come inside, watch TV, do homework, that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But because I spent so much time watching TV with the active mind that I have, it wasn't just sitting there watching. I was thinking about it. I was talking. I was mimicking the music. So I could do theme songs and stuff like that. To this day, I can still do some theme songs. I could do like MacGyver, Knight Rider, Airwolf. The music kind of just embedded itself. And so I just thought I was copying TV. The other side of it was, because I was poor, I didn't really have access to a lot of like music and stuff like that in terms of being able to get a radio and actually listen to it. So when in like the 80s, when rap became a big thing, I was introduced to the concept of beatboxing. So I'm like, oh, okay, I can do some beatboxing, the little bit that I heard on the radio at like friends' houses and stuff, I copied. So I'm sitting there, learning how to keep a beat and doing all that stuff. Over the course of time, because I was always at home, I have to just reinforce it and practice it and stuff like that, to the point where now it's almost effortless. It actually took me a long time to get the sound effects and everything out of my normal speech. Where I was telling stories with the sound effects in them, because it wasn't enough just to tell the story, to convey the information. I wanted to convey the experience. It's actually kind of funny. I came into a couple of new artists recently. The one that I actually gravitated to more is this lady named Kisa, or Kesa, something like that. She has these two really big songs. One is called Hideaway, another one is called Giant in My Heart. I like that. It's kind of like techno trance type thing, which is actually pretty cool. Another band that I'm into right now is One Republic, which is a sneaky little bugger too, because like Maroon 5, what they did to me was they would release like 2 or 3 songs that I really, really liked, and I kind of got into, and I would listen to them a lot, but I wasn't actually going in to follow the band. And so then they would release another one and another one. So every time I heard One Republic, the dude even showed up on one of the TV shows that I watched. He showed up on an episode of Smash. And so it was like, it was actually really cool, but it was really subtle. And all of a sudden I turn around, and there's like 10 songs from them that I like oh my God, I'm a fan of One Republic. When the hell did that happen? So it was actually really kind of slick. Because normally when I'm a fan of something, what would happen is I would find one song, really, really like it, go get everything that they ever did, sit down and listen to all of it, and find out whether I really liked all of their music or just that one particular song that got to me. That's normally how I become fans of anybody. People like Michael Jackson, Weird Al Yankovic, Gloria Estefan, those type of people, Will Smith, those type of people. I would pull in all the stuff that they had done at the time that I first heard them, and then find out whether I really was a fan of it was just that one song that I liked. But One Republic, like Maroon 5, slipped in secretly. They did it 1 or 2 at a time. And then all of a sudden I turn around like a year later and I'm a fan of these bands. Like, oh shit, what? But yeah, so currently right now, it's Hideaway and Giant in My Heart by Kisa, and Love Runs Out, Counting Stars by One Republic. Those are the type of music that I'm listening to right now. How did I know something like this was going to sneak in there? All the other questions were kind of cool, but this, okay, this is where I'm going to lose like a huge number of people who are watching this. All right, I'm a fan of both. All right, I do not subscribe to the idea that you can only be a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan. You can like both of them. All right, it's 21st century. Freedom of speech, freedom of thinking. You can like both sides of it. All right. For me, I like them for different reasons. All right. Star Wars, I like because it's basically one main theme, one kind of mythology. All right. And they expand, kind of like, again, like I was saying before with referencing like the Greek gods, it's, a mythology. It's a mythos. It's an enclosed system. And you keep adding people and adding characters, and the main events of the storyline kind of expand, so that the more people you add, the more the events have consequences for these people. So that's really, and it's really intricate, really delicate work to do. And it's really fascinating to me. On top of that, it's battle, it's war, that type of thing. I'm a guy, so I respond to that. And also the core storyline, like for the movies per se, is really interesting because you could also see it as like the rise and fall of the Skywalker family. You know what I'm saying? The rise and fall and rise again, I guess, of the Skywalker family. So I like Star Wars for that reason. I like Star Trek for an entirely different reason because Star Trek, what they do is they examine our culture. It basically become another form of mythology, but it's more reflective of who we are at the time that the Trek series was out. So yeah, that's it. That's the end. Thank you very much for playing. You made it through to the final piece of the second half of the questions. So yes, here you are. Thank you very much. Made it to the end. Way to stick it in there. You're the audience. No, you're the audience. No, you're the audience. Yeah. Look forward to the next episode where something interesting will happen. No, I don't know what it is yet, but I'm working on it. Later.